Have you ever felt depressed, rejected, lonely? Well, today we have a great speaker. She's an amazing leader here at the church. She's a director of a ministry, and I want to tell you about her story today. Well, I don't want to tell you, but she's going to. So how was your upbringing before you came into the church or to Christ?
So I was raised very lonely. I didn't have that parental guidance as a child. When I was 5 years old, my mother left for a while, and she left my brother and I to live with my aunt. And my three younger sisters, they went to go live with their dad. That was my stepdad at the time. And my mother didn't come back till we were about 11 years old. My father was actually never even in the picture to begin with. He walked out on us since we were babies. So that caused a lot of depression in life, a lot of loneliness. I felt a lot of rejection. I just never really knew that love of a parent whatsoever.
One thing that's interesting is I've learned that you can have great eating habits, great exercise, but those people will still die up to 15 years early if they don't have strong social ties. So if you're very lonely, it can cause an early death. It's very crazy because the scientists have studied that. Like, there's actually a test result that they received, and they did a test on 276 people, and they gave them a virus that had a cold-like symptom. And the study found that people with the most varied social ties were less susceptible to the common cold, and the ones that had less social ties, they were more sick. So it makes me go back to the Bible when God said that it's not good for man to be alone. So you can literally see the effects in science with that, you know? So it's very interesting how loneliness can literally kill you, you know?
Yeah, it can.
I guess going on with that, how did you actually go to the church when you...
So, like you were saying, I was definitely an introvert. I always kind of discluded myself from groups. I never really had many friends at school. I would kind of just not want to be around anybody ever. And even after I got married, I still didn't have many friends after that. And so it did cause a lot of problems in my life. But I guess I came to God because I just didn't want to feel that loneliness, that depression anymore. So many things that came into my life, so much anger and bitterness. I was just extremely angry and bitter towards the entire world. And I even ended up taking it out on my husband and my daughter at that time because I didn't know how to handle these emotions of all of the pain that I had been raised up in my life.
Mm-hmm. And then I know you said you had joined a church for a while. How many years was that?
So we joined the church before New Harvest in 2011, I believe. And we were there until about 2014 when I came here to New Harvest.
Mm-hmm. Those that don't know, like, we operate in the spiritual gifts here in New Harvest. Were you allowed to do it there?
So I noticed at that previous church that I had some spiritual gifts in me. I just didn't know how to operate in them. And I realized when I kind of started to flow in them, it wasn't correct. And I was not really allowed the freedom to flow in them just because of all the mistakes and not being taught in how to operate in the gifts.
So I guess I would say this gift is something supernatural, right?
Yes, definitely.
Like, for example, some people are gifted and they could be a pastor, a teacher, an evangelist, but I would say it goes beyond that. Would you say?
Definitely. I would categorize it as a spiritual gift more than a ministerial gift,
Yes.
for sure.
Okay. For those that want to know, can you tell them?
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to know, you just have to come down to New Harvest to find out because it's definitely on another level.
Yes, definitely. I would say definitely come by because I've been blessed by it countless times. I know I've received a lot through that gift. And you know, if you're curious, I say come by the church. But with that, what made you leave the church?
So I guess that rejection that I grew up in as a child kind of followed me even within the church. And so even that internal pain continued to follow me because there was things that hadn't been cut out of my life that didn't happen until I came here to New Harvest.
Wow. And how'd you find New Harvest?
I was actually at that time very passionate, and I still am very passionate, but at that time I was a youth leader. And so my passion was to come and to find a youth group that I could help. And so when I saw the youth group here at New Harvest on fire, it just touched my heart, and that's what caught my attention so much.
Okay, and I know you are a director of a ministry. If you could just tell everybody what that is and who can join.
So my husband and I, we both lead the ministry of a new, So we both lead Growth Track Ministry, and what that is basically 4 classes. And for those people that have been Christians for a while, they're very basic classes, but it's just kind of a jump start for you to get started into your discipleship. And there's different levels of that. Mm-hmm. Anybody can join. Anybody.
Okay. If I said, why should I take Growth Track? What would you tell me?
Because we all have to have a spirit that is willing to learn. We never stop learning. And like I said, it's a jump start to that discipleship. And Jesus said, go therefore and make disciples of every nation, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And this is that jump start to follow that commandment that he gave to us.
Okay, that's it for today's video. We condensed so many topics into this quick short video. If you want to learn more about it, you can come and visit us. You can ask for me, ask for Adri. Maybe you have questions on the church. Maybe you have questions about Christianity in general. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you out. If you're lonely, we ask that you come and join us so that way you're no longer lonely and you can actually live a longer life and be healthier. And I just invite you to the church.
Bye. God bless you. Hope to see you here.
I got one last question. Okay. You said you wanted to go to a new church. How do you know it wasn't just your desire? Do you have any outside confirmation that this is the church you're supposed to be at?
I guess my testimony would be that when I would pray and I would ask God for a church that flowed in the Holy Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit, and I would ask him for a home church. I remember coming to a service one day, and Pastor, he was in the front ministering people, and I stayed in the back at that time. I didn't want to come forward because it hadn't officially been my home church yet that I had made that final decision. So Pastor came to the back to pray for me where I was at my seat, and Pastor usually stays in the front when he prays for people. But that day when he went to pray for me, he said to me in his words exactly where you are home, which were my words in prayer that I was praying to God on a daily basis for a few months. God, take me to a church where it can be my home church. And so for me, that was confirmation. That was God telling me, you're home. And he uses sometimes your own words to bring you that confirmation that you need to know that he's answering your prayers. So that's how I knew I was home.
That's awesome. Right there. We have a home for you if you ever want to find one.